Imagine you get a phone call one day and you answer it. Hello? Oh, hi there. We just wanted to let you know that you're going to have to move out, leave home, because we're going to be flooding your village to create a brand new reservoir. What would your response be? What would your reaction be? Now, I will admit that phone call is a little bit far-fetched, but the situation is very real, and it's happened here in Yorkshire on a number of occasions, including right here at Thruscross Reservoir, a place which used to be home to the village of West End. And as you can see today, water levels are very low. So low, in fact, we might be able to get a glimpse of the old village. So in this video, we're going to have a wander around the reservoir, revisit the story of what happened here, and see if we can find some of the remains of the sunken village of West End. So come along with me and let's have an adventure. Now, first things first, you might be able to see a narrow white strip over there. I've seen people walking down there in the last few weeks, so that's where we need to head to, I think. How we get there, I don't know, but we'll try and figure that out. Even just from here, we're stood on top of the dam right now. I'll show you the other side in a second, but we can already see all these layers emerging thanks to the low water levels. And here's what it looks like from the other side. So this is where the water is being released back downstream into the river. Now, this is actually quite a rare opportunity. We've had a very dry spring and a dry summer here this year. And so the reservoir levels have just been dropping steadily up until pretty much this last couple of weeks. So we are in the middle, or hopefully towards the end of a drought, with reservoir levels around Yorkshire being well below 50%. But for now, let's stick to our main story, the sunken village of West End. I can't really see too many clues about it around here. There's some, what looks like kind of brickwork over there that might be something of interest. But let's try and get over there first, and then I can tell you a little bit more about it. So what do we know about this sunken village? Well, the reservoir itself was constructed fairly recently in 1966. And at the time, there weren't very many residents still living here in West End. The area itself used to be home to a thriving flax industry, and we should be able to see some remains of that. There is apparently the ruins of an old flax mill somewhere along the edge of the reservoir. And the conversation I was joking about before in the intro is probably the part of the story that I'm most interested to find out about. And it's the one thing that I didn't manage to discover. Because I was just fascinated to know, what does this process look like? When there's been plans made to construct a new reservoir, and it needs the flooding of a pre-existing village or hamlet, how does that work? I would guess cynically that people living there don't have a choice. So do they get given a new house? Do they get additional compensation? I just don't know. But whatever the process is, at the time this place was constructed, West End had very few residents left. It wasn't the thriving village it once was. Okay, I've just picked a random path down there. I think we actually want to get a little bit further around, but we'll have a little look. So we've got some water levels here. Ordinarily, it's a little bit far away, but you can see the coloration on the dam wall there, including the space for the overflow at the top. And if you look up photos of this place on Google Maps, you'll be able to see ordinarily how high the levels are. Because the view from the dam where we started this video is almost unrecognizable compared to how it is today. These rocks are kind of interesting as well. Need some geologists in the comments to tell us what this is, please. Okay, let's carry on around to the other side. Yeah, so regardless of how it happened, the remaining residents of West End were forced to leave. And it's interesting, if you look up West End on a map, you'll actually find it. It will come up. And that's because there is a newer hamlet, a collection of houses, just to the side of this reservoir called West End. But it's a different place, I promise you. I haven't made this whole story up. And aside from having to move the locals out from the village to construct the reservoir, there was something else that needed to be done as well. Something connected to the local graveyard. I guess this would be the runoff from the valley. Sorry, from the hills. Yeah, so it was the bodies from the graveyard. Needed to be exhumed, which is just a kind of polite way of saying dug up, and moved to a new location. Now we need to keep an eye out for another footpath heading off to the left. And I'm keen to find the remains of this old flax mill. I never knew about flax until preparing for this video. And I feel like I say this almost every time, so I'm going to try and stop saying it soon. But when I was reading about it and I made the connection in my mind between these two things I'm about to talk about, I was left wondering, as I often am, did everybody else already know about this? Am I really missing that much knowledge that it was just me? And I guess you can let me know the answer to that, because what I'm talking about is one of the uses of flax. Still not seeing any ways in. Yeah, so in the meantime, flax. So flax is a plant, it's a flowering plant. If you're in the US, you know this is linseed. And the only use that I was aware of was flaxseed, kind of a dietary component. But it turns out flax is useful for many other things, and one thing in particular. Flaxseed oil, or linseed oil, is another product you can create from the flax plant. That one, interestingly, is used as a nutritional supplement, but also as a paint binder and for wood finishing. That's kind of an interesting mix of applications, from human consumption to using with paint and wood. Kind of strange. But the very big one, the biggest one of all, should we have a wander through here? It's kind of a strange little collection of trees. That's a spider on my face. Okay, dead end, dead end. Okay, let's try another, try another route. So yeah, the biggest one of all is for the production of linen. I don't know how I missed out on this piece of education. I never knew that there was a connection there. It turns out the world of plant fibres, it's always been there. I was blissfully unaware of it. And of course I know about linen. I'm sure I've got some linen clothes at home probably. But yeah, the fibres from the stem of the flax can be used, and have been used apparently for tens of thousands of years, to create material, to create linen. It did get me wondering, I can't lie, how many other things out there I've known about by name and by product my whole life, but just never put the connection together between how it's made or where it comes from. I mean, what are you going to tell me next? Mayonnaise is made from eggs or something crazy. Okay, ooh. That's a big, I mean, it's practically a wing. So the levels here have been low for quite a long time now. There's been a hosepipe ban in place in Yorkshire since July, which means no hosepipe usage allowed, sort of. There are some exceptions. Now, for anyone who happens to know about plant life, you might be interested in what type of plants are typically surviving under the water. I presume these have all been here for a long time. Is it possible that they've just grown since the drought? Surely not. Although the flowers do make me suspicious. So what can we see? Any signs of West End? I've spotted something that's probably going to be coming into view on the camera very soon. We've got some old, well, I presume, dry stone walls, which weirdly is in better shape than some of the walls I've seen overground on land. Oh, cool. So it looks like this must have been some kind of boundary, maybe field boundary. I haven't seen plans for the old village in terms of layout plans, but as with most valley villages, I presume the houses were in the middle, and then there would have been fields up on the sides potentially, which kind of fits with this. We've got an old dry stone wall, gate post here, still got the remains of where the gate would have been. Somebody's shoe. This looks, does it look more modern? And then we've got even more walls just kind of going straight into the water. I'm trying to walk slow here so I can make sure I show you everything, because I'm sure, I just know I'll miss something that somebody else will see in the video. So I wonder if there's even more underneath. There is, maybe a bit far away, but there are walls in the distance as well on the opposite side. I don't think we can get around there. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but it's muddy, slippy, and a lot steeper on that side. And I don't fancy making the embarrassing call to anyone, let alone Yorkshire Water, saying, can you help me? I'm an idiot and I've fallen into your reservoir. Because that would be my fault, let's face it. Let's head a little bit further down here, and then that is an old can. So much so, this might sound weird, but I'd feel strange taking it. I normally pick up bits of rubbish when I find them, but that's been there a long time. Now I am slightly deterred by the sight of this very wet footstep. Maybe it was dry when it was imprinted and has since rained, that's my hope. We've got some rope, and then we've got another boundary wall. And then it just kind of continues. We've got more walls. Can't see anything more substantial. It's really green. It really is very green. Let's just have a little look at these posts, and then we'll carry on around the edge of the reservoir. Oh yeah, so we've got a narrow, I guess it would have been a road here, or a path. And then another gatepost heading into the village. So this might have been the path that the villagers walked to go into West End. But they would have been going home. And for us, this is all we get. So we can see there has been some rainfall recently, finally. Now I'm not going to go super far because it is very muddy, and don't want to cause any incidents here. I know they've had quite a few visitors to not just this reservoir, but a number of reservoirs around Yorkshire for this exact same reason. Because this isn't the only place this has happened. There's another place, for example, called Lady Bower Reservoir, a few hours further south from here. And I think there were 2 villages that were sunken to create that one. So you can understand why there are a lot of curious walkers around at the moment, trying to just get a view, because it's pretty interesting and you won't be able to see this very often. So they've kind of just, from what I've seen, told people to just be careful, don't be reckless, because these can be dangerous places at the end of the day. It might sound far-fetched, but it's the truth. Okay, let's carry on around the boundary of the reservoir and we'll see if we can find the remains of that flax mill. One thing I'd be interested to know a bit more about is the construction process, particularly when there is a village on the site that they need to build the reservoir on. Because clearly they didn't remove everything. Did they remove anything? Or is the rest of it just sitting even further below the current water level? More bits of glass and a bit of it's quite a lot of little shards actually. Not sure what that is. There must be so much stuff hidden in here. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I just saw that dark outline kind of directly ahead here. It didn't look like a rock or anything, but from my peripheral vision, I was like, instantly thought, that's an animal. Why is it so big and why is it that colour? I'm not normally so on edge about things. I don't know what's happening. I mean, you can forgive me from a distance for thinking, just for a split second, that might be something dangerous. I mean, not in this country, but it's kind of got a leg sticking out. It's like hunched forward. Maybe that's an overactive imagination. Now this bit is interesting actually. Now that we all know about dry stone walls, if you've been on this channel for a little bit, let's just get that bird carcass out of the way. These are the top stones. So this is the very top of the wall, which means there's been a lot of kind of sediment filling in and raising the level of the ground here, which wasn't the case over there, it didn't look like. So if we know that the average dry stone wall, if there is such a thing, what was it? Oh no, 3 meters? I'm gonna have to watch the video again. But high enough to know that this was originally a lot lower down. So there could be a lot more under there. This path is kind of curious as well. Was this for construction, or is this like, do you know what, I don't know. The cube, the infamous Thruscross Reservoir cube. We did it. It's one thing you have to do if you ever make it here at low water. Place a finger on the cube and you get good luck for the rest of your life. What's the plan of action? I think I can see the flax mill remains over there in the distance. Let's head back to the path for a minute, just because it starts to get a little bit steep in the land there and it is quite wet in these lower sections. So we'll head up, we'll walk around and let's see if we can find that mill. I'm just constantly looking at the ground now because who knows what's there. And now having seen the top of that wall, who knows what's under there. When I set off this morning, I was close to cancelling or delaying this trip because it said heavy rain, but it's not at all. Now, whilst we're on our way to find the ruins of the abandoned flax mill, there was one other thing that amused me that I found in my research preparing for this video, and it was on the Yorkshire Water website. They actually publish a lot of information about their services in the drought, which I think is great. And one thing that is on the site is a pretty substantial FAQ about the hosepipe ban. I thought I saw a rabbit a second ago. They were far away, but two of them ran out onto the banks of the reservoir. I think I've already scared them off, to be honest. So yeah, in this list, there are a lot of questions. Bear in mind FAQ meaning frequently asked questions, so I can only assume they have a lot of people asking about each of these subjects. And the one that caught me off guard, which might make no sense to many other people, was the FAQ, can I still wash my boat? Now I find this funny just because I wasn't expecting it. I'm not somebody who has ever needed to worry about whether or not I can wash my boat. Spoiler alert, because I don't have one. So it's a question that has never even been close to entering my mind. But there's clearly a whole large group of people I never thought about who may worry about these things when a hosepipe ban comes into place. And I suppose in this area, in Yorkshire and the wider country, there'll be people living on the canals who actually it's a very valid question for. And probably other groups as well that I'm not aware of. And the answer to the question, for anyone that's intrigued, just because I was, is actually not as straightforward as you might think. There were a few caveats. Feel free to skip this part if you're not interested in the laws of boat cleaning. So it said, you cannot use a hosepipe to clean private leisure boats except any areas enclosed by walls and a roof, so indoors, inside. Who's using a hosepipe to clean the inside of their boat? Again, maybe that makes sense to boat people. I don't know. To prevent or control the spread of non-native or invasive species, makes sense. If the vessel is your primary residence, sounds fair. And if you are a business where boat cleaning is done as a service to customers. Okay, now that last one, kind of interesting. I don't know what kind of tangent I'm going off on now. But in other words, if it's a leisure boat that you don't live on, no. But if you hire somebody else to do it, yeah, go for it. They can use it, no problem. Anyway, what am I talking about? Where's this flax mill? This is the steeper part. I didn't fancy scrambling around. And this is what I meant by some of the dry stone walls on land are actually in a worse state, or at least as bad as some of the ones we saw down there. Now there is a proper ruin down there, straight ahead. It's kind of far off. I don't know if that's accessible or not, but let's have a little look. Hopefully you can at least see that from here on the camera. I suppose getting down would be the easier part, but hopefully you can see how steep this incline is. and then getting back out, even on the other side, it looks not too bad, but it is steep and slippy. And I'm already getting the flash forwards in my head of how that could play out. But if I see a chance to get down there, I will take it. That's peculiar. So we got path, gate post. It's kind of weird. It's not even the remains of a wall, it's just stones. Or chairs. They do kind of look like chairs. I don't know about this. What I'm worried about mainly is getting myself somewhere from which I can't get back. Or slipping down somewhere and having the same fate. Plenty of time for this to go wrong. All right, maybe this is possible. Oh God, it's slippy though. I'm filming the floor largely for my benefit right now because I need to watch my balance. I'm never quite sure how these kind of terrains come off on camera, but not only is this quite steep, but it's quite slippy. Okay, here we go. This is weird. This is a weird place. And we've got a callback to a recent video, I think. Oh no, it's just stone. I thought it was slate, but it's just so coloured from the water. This is weird. It almost looks fake, doesn't it? It's so uniformly cut and placed. Oh man, I hope I can get back up that hill. Okay, so we've got very wide entryway. What does that tell us? Probably built for farm equipment rather than people or animals. That is rotten. This has already fallen down. So let's just go quickly through that. Avoid getting a huge stone to the head. Yeah. So this is normally here just underwater, or at least some of it, because this side is weirdly bright in colour compared to all of these. What do you think it was, a barn or something else? That's not a window. That's a window. That's got a huge stone above it. Okay, there's not too much to show you in here. Quite a unique place though. Somebody's been there. M.I. Smick, is it? A long time ago. Weird, isn't it? Now the footpath we're walking on takes us all the way around that edge. So I think what I'm going to do, this is where I came from, I think rather than cut over, I mean I suppose I could do. Dilemma. Okay, can one of you just please call back to me from the future where you are right now and tell me, should I cross here or go back up the hill? I'm listening now. Back up the hill, okay, thank you. Where did we come from? Full disclaimer, this video is not a recommendation to come here. In fact, I've been here so you don't need to. Some people hate it when I say that. But you've got to think about why I say those things. We are on YouTube after all. Oh. Mystery berry of the day. Mulberry people. What have we got? Hey! Okay, let me catch my breath and let's continue. Into the woods. Oh, what? I was promised a flat walk. When I say promised, I mean imagined, hopefully. This feels like a little bit of a detour, but we do need to hit that one final destination, the abandoned flax mill. The last stop on our journey today. Uh-oh. Oh dear. Right. That's not ideal. Oh God, did you hear that? That is some mud. Okay, maybe let's... Oh, it's just barbed wire. Oh, no! Okay, yeah, that's barbed wire. Oh, wet feet. Very wet feet. Oop. Wow. Now my thinking was cross over this and then go in between here because it was less muddy. Oh, this is not going to end well. I can just tell that out of the way. Look at that bog. Oop. Surely I can't be defeated by such a small obstacle. Let me strap the camera in, then at least I've got two hands. Let me just describe what you can't see. I've got one leg over the barbed wire, one leg stood behind it. TMI incoming, but my crotch is precariously right over the barbed wire and it's very slippy. So, okay. This is a job for wellies. Why does it smell so bad? Oh. Okay, well, that that looks like it should have been simple. Well, now my feet are in a swimming pool, and if we were to just take the clues available to us right now, there's a pretty high chance that's going to be all the way across because there's so many fallen trees here. On the plus side, it does look like some of the ones that fell earlier have already been dealt with. So maybe we'll be all right. Okay. I hate to say it, but I am not equipped for this. This was not in the plan. I very rarely choose to turn back, but we're only 150 meters from the gate. It's not going to get any better than this. I thought there was a blooming drought on. I mean, who wants to see a flax mill anyway? Not me. I mean, I sort of did a little bit, I'll be honest. Thing is, I've done this before and I've powered through and I've regretted it because I just end up slogging through horrible terrain with the wrong equipment and then things just get progressively worse. So let's quit while we're behind. What an absolute amateur. This does explain why there's nobody else here. Okay, well that may result in the abrupt conclusion of this video. Didn't much fancy walking across the basin because there was quite a lot of water down there. And if we get over there, who knows what's waiting after looking at that. Yeah, oh, wow. I did not even notice that, but I think that's the other side of the footpath. And I saw that blanket of green earlier, but I had no idea. And seeing it now, after being up there, it's all the trees that have fallen forward, absolutely caking that footpath. I guess that's the answer I was looking for. We're not going, we're not going over that way. Well, some weird things going on around here at Thruscross Reservoir. Pretty treacherous place. I think that might be everything I can show you. Apologies we didn't get to see the old flax mill. If I was looking at the right thing, it's kind of back around that bend. Let me show you the reservoir on the map, because it's kind of a funky shape. You can see it's got this main body here, and then it kind of snakes off into these two fingers. And the flax mill, I think, was close to where you can see a West End, or so let's call it New West End over there. I'll be honest with you though, I've seen it on pictures and you can imagine it. It's a little bit like the ruined building we saw just down the slope here. Sorry to cut things short, but what more can I say other than thank you so much for watching this video. Big shout out to everyone who's been supporting the channel recently. I know I say it every time, but I really mean it, because it's all of you who fund these trips and allow me to spend all this time preparing, putting on the wrong footwear and traveling out to these hopefully interesting places. There's plenty more coming soon on the channel. If there's anywhere you want to see in particular, do let me know, because a lot of the recent videos I've done have been from your recommendations, so please keep those coming. And of course, if you've got any questions, knowledge or information about the reservoir, West End Village, then let us know in the comments. So thanks again for watching, and fingers crossed I'll see you next time.